She can build you or bury you, the silent decision that defines a man. They won't tell you this in school. Your father might not even know how to say it, but every man, sooner or later, faces one decision that rewrites the entire story of his life. The woman he chooses. Not the job, not the degree, not the investments. Those matter, but they're nothing next to her, because the wrong woman doesn't ruin your day. She rewrites your destiny. Look at the fallen men around you, not the loud ones, the quiet ones, the ones who smile in photos but are dead behind the eyes. They didn't fall from war or failure or poverty. They fell in love with the wrong one. Nietzsche warned, "There is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness." And the reason is simple. You were never taught to choose like a king, only to chase like a fool. But kings don't chase. They observe, they test, they choose with brutal clarity because they know what's at stake, and what's at stake is everything. So before you fall for her eyes, ask yourself this: will this woman build your empire, or be the silent fire that burns it to the ground? Choose her, lose everything. The ancient law men forgot. In ancient times, men didn't choose women by accident. They watched, they waited, they tested, not out of cruelty, but out of wisdom, because they knew something modern men have forgotten. The woman you choose is the mirror of your unseen beliefs. And if you don't know yourself, you will pick the very thing that destroys you. You see, most men don't fall in love. They fall into patterns. And a pattern doesn't care if it kills you. It only cares if you repeat it. The woman is a reflection of your shadow. You think you're choosing her, but you're really choosing the familiar wound. That same coldness your mother gave you, you chase it in her mysterious silence. That same chaos you swore you'd escape, you call it passion when she screams and apologizes the next day. Carl Jung warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And fate, for many men, wears high heels and soft perfume. She looks like a reward, but she's a test. How modern men select blind, fast, and desperate. The modern man chooses from neediness, not vision. He doesn't observe her values. He observes her body. He doesn't ask, what does she believe about loyalty? How does she treat others when no one's watching? What is her relationship with silence, power, truth, number? He just sees that curve, that glance, that voice, and he gives his entire future to a moment of dopamine. The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. Warren Buffett. And by the time he feels the weight, she already controls his peace. Her patterns are older than her face. Here's what no one will say: her beauty is temporary, but her patterns are eternal. A selfish woman doesn't become generous because you loved her harder. A disloyal woman doesn't become loyal because you bought her dinner. People don't change for love. They change for truth, and even then, only if they want to. You must learn to see beyond the lipstick and into the code. Every woman runs on a pattern formed by childhood, trauma, ego, and desire. Your job is not to fix her. Your job is to observe her long enough to see whether she builds temples or burns them. Watch what people do, not what they say. Behavior never lies. Tony Robbins. The hidden masculine power, cold selection. The strongest man in the room isn't the one who fights the most. It's the one who selects with calm indifference. He doesn't rush. He doesn't flinch. He walks away when respect fades, even if she's the most beautiful woman in the room. This kind of man terrifies modern women. Why? Because he is unmoved by validation. He has standards, and standards, unlike desire, filter truth. You see, she can fake virtue, she can fake submission, she can fake affection, but she cannot fake patterns, and patterns are only revealed in time. That's why the ancient law is this: do not choose based on intensity, choose based on consistency. Her true nature is repetition. So how do you see her clearly? Simple. Don't ask her what she wants. Watch what she repeats. Does she sabotage peace and chase drama? Does she belittle you subtly when you're rising? Does she weaponize vulnerability or use it to connect? Every act is a confession. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle. So is deception, so is manipulation, so is love. The truth is always hiding in repetition. Burn this into your mind. She is not random. She is the final exam of your self-awareness. The woman you tolerate reveals the man you are. And if you keep choosing chaos, pain, and masks, then the problem isn't her, it's you, still addicted to your own blindness. So look deeper, test without guilt, and if she fails the test, walk away. Without noise, without warning, without regret. Because if you fail to choose like a king, you will serve like a fool. She was never yours. She was only responding to power. They told you that love is a feeling, that if you just care enough, give enough, prove yourself enough, she'll stay. But here's the bitter truth no man wants to admit. She was never really yours. She was only responding to your energy, to your gravity, to the invisible currency of power that you didn't even know you were spending. You thought it was the dinners, the sweet words, the promises, but it wasn't. It was the way you walked into a room without needing to be liked. It was the silence you carried, not trying to please, because you had already chosen yourself. And the moment that died, so did her desire. As Michel Foucault said, power is not something you acquire. It is something you perform. You were performing power until you surrendered it. You stopped leading and started asking. You stopped choosing and started chasing. You stopped being a mystery and became a mirror, reflecting her moods and fears. That's when she pulled away. Not because she stopped loving you, but because you stopped being the man she responded to in the first place. Women don't follow words. They follow presence. Not presence like standing in the room, but presence like, I know who I am, and nothing you say can shake it. That presence is what makes her soften. That presence is what makes her feminine. But most men lose it. They start performing like dancers, not kings. They become predictable, emotional, and in her eyes, replaceable. Because once she can predict you, she can map you. And once she maps you, she no longer respects you. Carl Jung once warned, every woman carries within her the image of her man, not the real man, but her inner fantasy of him. Your job isn't to become her fantasy, it's to become so centered that she must evolve her fantasy to keep up with your reality. But instead, you adapted to her. You became nice, passive, over-available. You mistook comfort for connection, and she mistook your softness for weakness. Here's the unspoken law. A woman's love is not unconditional. It is deeply tied to how grounded you are in your mission. She doesn't want you to orbit her. She wants to orbit something greater, the force you become when you stop needing her. She won't say this aloud. Hell, she may not even realize it consciously. But the moment you put her above your purpose, she begins to subconsciously test your resolve. She'll start arguments over nothing, pull away sexually, criticize your decisions. Not because she's evil, but because she's searching for the edge of your leadership. And if she finds none, she leaves, or worse, she stays and slowly dismantles you emotionally. You think she changed? No, brother, she didn't change. You shifted the polarity. You stopped being the man that made her feel safe and surrender. And here's the paradox. She never wanted to lead. She wanted to feel your strength so deeply that she could finally relax her guard. But she can't relax around uncertainty, around a man who waits for her permission to rise. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. So stop asking what she wants and start asking, who must I become so that her love is simply a reflection of my essence? Because love isn't something you get, it's something you radiate. And the more powerfully you stand in yourself, the more she remembers why she was drawn to you in the first place. Because it was never your words, never your looks, never your kindness. It was the fire in your spirit and the storm you weren't afraid to carry in your silence. Guard your fire or die in her storm. Every man is born with a fire. It's not loud, it doesn't beg for attention, but it's there, glowing behind your eyes, waiting to become something. A mission, a discipline, a structure, a kingdom. And if you're lucky, you'll meet a woman who fans that flame. She doesn't try to steal it. She respects its heat. She brings wood, not water. She knows her role, not because she's weak, but because she's wise. But most men, they hand that fire away without even noticing. They chase beauty and mistake it for virtue. They chase validation and call it love. They chase chaos and call it passion. And before long, their fire is gone, smothered in arguments, drowned in manipulation, flickering under the weight of her moods. They've become what Nietzsche feared. He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. When you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. She is not the monster. Your need for her is. The tragedy of the unawakened man. You'll know this man by his eyes. They used to shine. Now they just scan for approval. You'll see it in his back. Once proud, now hunched under invisible chains. He cannot speak freely anymore. He cannot move without asking permission. And the saddest part? He thinks this is love. He thinks this loss of power is a noble sacrifice. He doesn't realize he's become an emotional pet, rewarded when obedient, punished when bold. This is not love. This is training. And brother, you are the dog. Masculinity is not a crime, but it will be treated like one. We live in an age where feminine comfort is treated like truth, where a man who draws boundaries is labeled controlling, where stoicism is called emotional suppression, and masculinity is toxicity in disguise. But Marcus Aurelius didn't meditate under the stars to get approval from wounded women. He ruled an empire while keeping his soul intact. He wrote this to himself, not to the world. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. And that's the law you must return to. Because modern love is a storm, and if you don't guard your fire, she will test you. She will provoke you. She will try to dance in the center of your temple and demand you rearrange the pillars. But your task is simple. Do not move. Let the storm rage. Let her scream. Let her pout. Let her twist in the wind of her own emotional chaos. But you remain still. Why? Because the fire was never hers to command. You are not here to be consumed. You are here to build, to breathe life into structure, to forge clarity through pressure, to lead not from dominance, but from spiritual strength. If she cannot follow that rhythm, if she mocks your stillness or calls your purpose cold, she is not your queen. She is a wind in search of a tree to uproot. Let her go, because a man who knows his fire will never beg a storm to calm down. He will simply walk into the mountains and build something the storm can't reach. The closing truth. Most women don't need more love. They need more men who have learned to love themselves, completely, deeply, non-negotiably. Men who don't chase the feminine to feel alive, but who are already alive and let the right woman witness that fire. Because at the end of the day, the final law is this: you are either the keeper of your fire or the ashes of your own kingdom. Choose wisely.